let's assume that people watching now have no idea what the scrum is, so basically they're all backs. Put us through the basic positions. So you know, we're loose head, we're tied, hooker in the middle, and how you are looking to get an edge from the first engagement.
Right, so the big process we work on is the setup first. So if you get the setup right, the foundation of the scrum right, it'll then allow you into the engage, and ultimately the team that wins the engagement, probably 90% then wins the scrum. So if we use Mikey here, so the hooker normally drives it. So the process is that on a game day, I get it in the ear from Vesti that we're not producing front foot ball. Mikey gets in the ear from me that we're not producing front foot ball. So that's generally the process. So the driver of the scrum normally starts from the hooker, and we call this our sort of semi-crouch position. Okay, and what that does is remind the big blocks in the tight head and the loose head that this is the height you want to start at. So the tight head starts on the right hand side of the scrum. You often find that it's hooker's personal preference if they go tight head bind or loose head bind first. Yep. Most of our hookers here like the big money earner to be anchored on early.
You hear that, big money earner? Next contract, remember that.
To be anchored on early, because traditionally the tight head then almost works on his own a little bit.
Yeah.
And this angle is really important, this bind here, because this is where the ball is struck from. This area in here is where the ball comes from. So Michael's connection in here is really important, and this is your anchor, your secure block.
So without the old days of being like a metre apart and charging in at each other, you're really, really close. So the guys are now, you know, they're going to get in a position, they're going to be, we see it now, side by side, cheek by jowl, ready to hit the scrum. With such a small movement, how do you get the advantage?
Yeah, well, the big thing, and particularly this year with all the information around the axle loading and that sort of extra gap that we sometimes see from referees. If you look at Michael's foot in here, so we call this front foot here a brake foot. So if Michael now just goes forward, if you just use that pad as opposite hooker's head, mate, just use that pad as the. So last year what you were seeing is that we were going head on head here from a hooker, and because we were going head on head, that foot would be further back because he'd be supported through here.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what we're looking for now with the brake foot, and particularly what we've worked on all pre-season, is if Michael has his brake foot there, you can see he's in control of his own weight.
Yeah.
So at the moment, it's not law, but it's a consideration that referees have the option to take in their mind before it comes to the scrum, that if you see traditional front row with their feet back, they're probably potentially overbalancing. If the foot's forward, that's going to give you some sort of anchor point.
Yeah, and we hear that, and our guys up in the commentary, the pundits, Benny Kay's very quick on this, of people being long-legged.
Yep.
And the scrum goes down.
So hooker in first sets the height. Okay, invites the props in with his arms as gates, tightening through the chest. And what we're looking for in the setup is a slightly promotion of the tight head. So it goes 3-2-1, particularly on our ball from here. So you can see that angle. Okay, on the crouch, what we're looking for is chest movement, not feet movement. So you can see that, so the feet have been still. Okay, on the bind, your hands go forward onto the bind position, and you'll see all three people then just adjust their feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so now on the bind, because the hooker's foot's still up, he's in control of his weight from there. Crouch. Bind. Sit.
And that is a real short punch, isn't it?
And break. Yeah, and that's that for me is ultimately the key. So you invest in the setup to win that engagement from there. What we're really keen on is that through the engagement, the movement is forward and down, almost on a 45 degrees. So that's going to try and break the opposition's feet. So for when we review our scrums, it's through that engagement, have we caused the opposition front row to do that?
Yeah.
If you've done that, obviously you've got the upper hand. So even if you want to play away from your scrum and you've gone bang and they've done that movement, it then gives you a chance to strike.
And so we won't go into the whys and wherefores about trying to put wheels in and move bits and pieces, but what we have heard a lot of is that the hooker doesn't want to take his foot off the ground, isn't going to hook for the ball, but we're starting to see a lot more movement in the hooker and getting that being a bit more dynamic. Rather than the ball just sitting there waiting for someone to shunt over. What's changed to make that happen?
Well, what you'll find with the big difference between now and maybe yourself in your playing days is that rather than the nine sort of tap the hooker and then come down and have a look, that doesn't happen anymore. What's happening is the hooker is completely controlling when he wants the ball. And if you just have a look at the strike pattern, so Mike, if you just jump in. So yeah, in full engage, mate. So if you imagine that I'm in here as the 9, so now I'm completely looking. So any kind of pressure through, if we lose the engagement, or if we feel that we've got one of those props that don't drive straight, which occasionally happens in the Premiership.
Once or twice.
So Michael now will be waiting for that to win that sort of secondary movement, or also to try and highlight the angles they're coming at it. So once Michael feels that he's square and his props have got forward, then Michael will actually bring the foot through. And you see the big difference from here compared to the word hook. If we go again, Michael, just go in slow motion if you can, mate. Can you see the angle of the foot, rather than that used to be that kind of almost whipping semicircle?
Well, the hooker would almost swing independently of the props.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's much more solid.
It's not so at any stage. Do that again, mate. Just do me 2 or 3 of them on the. So at any stage in there, if we felt that we came under pressure or were being lifted, that what Michael can do is keep his foot in the ground here and actually keep some purchase. So if he brings his foot back and the team snaps at us, that actually on here he can keep some ground to actually work and then go into his pushing movement. Whereas if we sort of do you remember an old school hook? Were you old enough? Okay, there you go. So if we sort of do that kind of movement from here, you can see how the hips drop. And any movement from here, Aaron, if you jump into tight head. So this is absolutely crucial. Sorry, mate. This is absolutely crucial in terms of connection in here. Okay, so if you do the old school strike, can you see the amount of movement you've got in here? Now, obviously, you'd have put your head in there a few times. And obviously, if the head and movement isn't opening in here, then the connection gets split, and actually as a powerhouse we're not going forward. So with our traditional strike now, it's almost more of a triangle. He's actually coming across the ground quickly, and actually the ball, that's telling me to put the ball there. So I'm actually putting the ball in, and again there. So that motion, rather than come and fetch it from the midline of the scrum. Remember, under the new laws, that it's my outside shoulder that has to be midline of the scrum. So if I'm putting the ball in here, that actually now, if my outside shoulder is in line with Michael's ear, that's not feeding.
That's not feeding.
Where again,
but everyone will still shout and yell and scream
again,
that it is.
because what they're traditionally used to seeing is this. You know, think about where the line would be in our day. It would be belly button in line with ear. Now, it's shoulder in line with ear.
That's brilliant. Well, look, I mean, I know there's loads more to do that we could talk about in the scrum, but that is absolutely the basis that we want. And quite clearly, it is the most exciting thing in a game of rugby. And the most important thing to take away from this is that you're the big money bags. There we go. That's the way to look at it. Matt, brilliant.
Cheers.
Thanks ever so much.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.